Be thinking about you all day. Let's play a game of role play. You and I superuse it to give the world some fun. Everything we're doing is all for the greater good. Sounds so simple, but let's get things right. What we do, you may not really approve, but it's all that we need. What we do, we just get you in the mood. And I know you wanna spend the whole night. Spend the whole night. You do what you don't want to do. You make my whole world come alive. That's why I want you here right now. What we do, you may not really approve, but it's more like we need. What we do, I just get you in the mood. And I know you wanna spend the whole night. Oh, spend the whole night. Spend the whole night. Yeah. And I know you wanna spend the whole night. They say when you find a good thing, you never wanna lose it. Yeah, I found a blessing in you. Say what? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. You gon' spend the night for sure. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. You ain't going on for sure. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. You gon'
Greetings, and thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to Egon, your voice is amplified. My name is Plot Marco, and from time to time we're speaking to different creatives, artists that are working in Zimbabwe and outside of the borders. And today we're privileged to have an artist that we've been tracking for a very long time. A lot of people had sent in questions asking, where is he? And I'm talking about an artist that made news in 2006. He was the inaugural winner of the A Academy, the CBZ A Academy talent search, and this was the equivalent of the idols, in Zimbabwe. And at that time, he emerged the first winner, and we managed to track him down. And today we have him on the program. Real name Jonah Sithole, but now he uses an AKA Bloodlyne. We'll get into much of the details as to what happened to change the name from Jonah Sithole, and he changed to another name, and now he has another name. But anyway, it's part of the transport.
Yeah.
We'll more about the story. Yes. So welcome, Jonah. Thank you so much for joining us on Airground.
Thanks so much, Plot. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
Excellent.
Great. I don't know if you recall me from back then in the years. We did our first show 2007. I was running Chibilika, and you came through to the festival. And you apparently forgot a pair of iPods, and one of my colleagues picked it up. And you came.
Yes, I remember that.
Yes, that was the connection.
I remember that. Yes, I remember that very well. Because when I got home, my parents were mad. You lost your iPod. How did you lose? Man, why did you bring it in the first place? Like, I wanted to listen to music before I got in.
Wow. And it was a very
Hey,
prize.
man.
Was it part of your prizes that you got from the competition?
Yeah, it was one of the prizes that I got from the competition. And I think that was probably my most favorite prize I ever got. It was my most
Wow.
favorite. Yeah,
Great.
and I enjoyed every second.
Awesome. And let's take you back. Pre-2006. Let's talk a bit about your background. Who was Jonah? Who is Jonah from pre-2006? Because most of us, we got to know you from 2006 onwards. And
Yeah. How can I say? Jonah was a weird kid, to be honest. I was shy. I mean, I did talk. But I was very shy. I didn't really open up to people unless they opened up to me first.
yeah,
I like to observe people. I loved observing. I loved watching
yes,
and listening and, just immersing myself in what's around me. And I spent a lot of time talking to myself. People thought I was weird because I would walk in public and I'd be talking to
talking to
myself.
yourself.
I'd be in my head. Yeah, I'd be in my head, literally talking to myself. And I create a whole scenario. I'll think I'm in a movie and then I'll just start talking to myself and I'll act out the scenes and, just the whole thing. And sometimes my family thought something was wrong with me in some instances. But, they just, okay, that's just Jonah. That's just
But
Jonah.
was music playing
And
in your head also then? Was any music playing in
yes, because when I was in boarding school, if you didn't have access to like CD player, or Walkman or anything like that, that was the era, that was the time, before iPods were really popular. I think iPods were just starting to get into the market. People didn't really know much about them, and not many people could own them, and also MP3 players. So, like I used to do this thing where I would listen to my favorite song like 10, 20 times, or even 100 times if possible. I don't really remember how many times, but a lot of times. And I would immerse that song into my head. I would sear it into my head so that when I'm really bored in boarding school, this was a Cal College in Mashingo. If I was really bored, I would hear the song in my head. Or if I didn't want to, or if I just, sometimes, in class, sometimes it's hot. Mashingo gets hot, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah, so sometimes class, if I'm losing focus or I can't focus anymore and my mind is drifting, it would drift into music and I would just replay that song in my head and I would hear it and it would be so clear.
Wow.
It would feel like I have a whole radio station in my head. It was
So
a
what kind
weird
of
thing,
songs
but I
were you
used to do.
listening to?
Oh, I was listening to everything. But I think that time, because my family, we listened to everything from reggae to rock to jazz to hip hop to R&B to pop music, just everything, to local African music, international African music, from who can I name, like Salif Keita, Angelique Joe, Burning Spear, all the way down to Jamaica. We listened to everything, man. My dad listened to everything, to Madonna, to Tuku, of course.
Yes.
Leonard Dembo, the Buntu Boys.
Yes.
We listened to everything, man. So, but for me, I think when I was young, I was absorbing all of that. But I think when I started getting into my teens, I think what really caught my ears was R&B music. Definitely R&B soul, neo soul music. I was listening to Donnell Jones. I don't know if many people know Donnell Jones now.
Donnell Jones. Yes, big time.
Yeah, Donnell Jones, Erykah Badu, Jill Scott, The Roots. I was listening to The Roots. I was listening to Tupac. I was listening to B.I.G. Yeah, I was listening to, what was it? It was just, I can't. Joe Thomas. Yeah, I was really into Joe Thomas. I was definitely into Joe Thomas. But Donnell Jones really got it for me. Michael Jackson. Yeah, Michael Jackson, obvious. We wouldn't be listening to Michael Jackson as a singer. But those are some of the obvious ones. And I can't really remember now what was on my playlist at the time. But it was just heavy R&B. Like I was in it.
Did you see yourself becoming an artist? Did yourself like pursuing music at a tender age, or it was at a later stage that you?
It was definitely something I was exploring. I definitely saw myself doing it. You know, it started when I was singing to my sister and my cousin. You know, my sister Mabel, May Sithole, some might know her, and my cousin Sherilyn. You know, I would sing to them like, "Yo, guys, do I sing well?" And I was at that time, I wasn't a teenager yet. I think I was like 10, 11. I was listening to pop music of the time, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys.
The Backstreet Boys. That was the boy band era.
Yeah, the boy band era, right? Yeah, the boy band era. I was like really into that stuff, you know, the Spice Girls and whatnot. So, you know, I was just in it all. And I would sing to them the songs that they were doing, you know, like, "Quit playing games with my heart." You know, they're like, "Yeah, Jonah, you know, you actually got a voice." And I was like, okay. So then, okay, I'm going to try this out at school.
Yeah.
Then I just started singing. I would start really quietly, shy, just to see who'd pick it up. You know, this was grade seven. Yeah. So then I would start singing. This was at Lewisham now, primary school. School.
Yes.
I'd start singing, you know, just singing, you know. Then I'd sing a little bit louder. And the girls started taking notice. I'm like, "Oh, Jonah, you can sing. Can you sing for us?" Yes. And this was when the Backstreet Boys Black and Blue album came out. So they wanted me to sing that whole album. Yeah. Dude. Man.
And
I had fun.
Yeah. And fast forward from that period, now you enter the A Academy.
Yeah.
Take us through that process, that whole experience. I mean, from the time that you got into the competition, and if I'm very curious to know if you thought you could emerge the winner of the inaugural competition.
When A Academy happened, I didn't know if I was actually going to join. I was keen, you know. But, you know, at the time with Zim, you know, there was a lot of negativity towards ourselves. There was a lot of self-hate with each other, you know, like being seen on ZBC and all that stuff. People were like, you don't want to be on that. You know, people just being negative. You know, you'd hear people just going into air like, what do you want to be on that show for? And, you know, you'd almost believe it like, yeah, you know, but then my mind was, I was already set on doing it. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it anyway, you know, because I just wanted to sing. I wanted people to hear my voice. You know, I knew I had something, but now I wanted to know if I was sure. I wanted to be sure. Yeah. And prior to that, a few months before that, there was this thing that used to happen in the Celebration Center. I don't really remember the name. I think it was something similar to the movement or something like that.
Cross culture.
Not cross culture. It was for the youth. It was the youth event. It would happen once a year. I forgot the name. But this guy named Bloodlyne and Keith, they kind of helped me get on stage, and I did that with a girl named Tinti and Tsungi. I forgot the name of the song that we did. You know, we just kind of practiced it, and, you know, we liked what we were doing, and we jumped on it. I forgot who had made the beat. Yes. I don't remember who made the beat. I think it was Tags. I remember.
Okay, Simba Tags.
I think it was Simba Tags who made the beat, and Tinti was the one who gave it to me. I don't remember the detail. Huh?
Simba Tags had already started making beats back then.
Yeah, Simba Tags had already started making beats back then, and I was watching his rise. He was doing something with this guy called I forgot his name. I feel bad forgetting his name. I think it was Taki or something. Taki Tapi. I forgot. It was something around that. And he was collaborating with one guy. And Simba Tags at that time, his studio was in the kitchen.
Oh, interesting.
But yeah, it was in the kitchen. And yes. Okay, it was a Simba Tags beat. Yes, I remember. And I did that with two girls, Tinti and Tsungi. So we did it at that time. And I remember praying that day. I remember walking from my house to Celebration Center, which was about, I think, a 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer walk, something along that line. I just wanted to walk and just immerse myself, you know, in the music and just be prepared mentally. Yeah. So I remember praying to God. I was like, God, if I'm meant for music, let me have a great time doing this and let the crowd cheer me on, and let me just have fun knowing that this is for me. And I remember we did that show and the crowd just went wild for our set. It was one song, but that one song just blew people's minds. You know, I remember doing some fake patrol out there. I was like, yo, you guys want to hear me do a rag of the people were like, yeah. I was like, okay, everyone just went nuts. I was like, okay. And then when we went off, I was like, we hugged each other. We were all so happy. Yeah. And I thank God. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is for me. This is definitely something I definitely want to do. And then within that year, A Academy happened. And then I joined A Academy. Yes. And going into the audition, I was so nervous, man. I remember the first, I think it was a Saturday at Reps Theater. Yes. Well, that's when Reps Theater was still in Avondale, right? Is it 7 Arts?
No, Seven Arts Theater.
7 Arts. Yes, it was 7 Arts. It was a Saturday. I remember it was a Saturday. And I remember being in line and we were there like almost the whole day. And you know, the day was almost over. I was thinking, okay, there are not many people left. I'm going to be on. Prior to that happening, my phone gets stolen.
No. So
my phone gets stolen. I was
broken.
Yeah, I dropped it. Actually, I dropped it, and I think I dropped it. Or I think someone stole it from me. You know those days in 7 Arts, man. There was some slick dudes who could just sweep your phone from your pocket.
Those guys never stopped. I remember I witnessed a couple of incidences where those guys would just come through. They knew very well that whenever there's an event happening in 7 Arts Theater, they would come through. They would pretend to be part of the crew or whatever, and they would steal phones. I remember. For so many times, we lost phones. At one time, I gave away a phone belonging to somebody to one of the guys who had claimed that it was part of the sound crew, and I don't know how it happened. And the next thing, it disappeared. Wow.
Man, dude. I remember losing that phone, man. I was heartbroken. It was my first cell phone, man, that my mom gave me, you know. My mom didn't want to spoil me with cell phones, man. So that was my first cell phone. I think I was 17 at the time. Yeah. And I remember losing that phone. I was just devastated. So I was thinking, you know what? No, the audition is still there. Let me do this. Let me do this. And then one person goes on, and then there were 2 people ahead of me. And then they were like, sorry, guys, this is it for the day. Come back tomorrow. Man, I was pissed. I was mad. Now I was mad. I was like, what? Man, I came here. Why? You know, my phone gets stolen, and now they're telling us to come back tomorrow. Maybe this is not for me. Maybe it's a side. And my sister maybe was like, Jonah, just day. Yeah, we still went the next day. We went the next morning. We went there pretty early. I think it was around 6 a.m., 7. Yeah. And my sister maybe was like, Jonah, just relax. Your phone is gone, but tomorrow the audition's there. We'll get there early, and you can get on your set, and let's see how things go. So the next day comes. I jump in. My part comes in. I'm so nervous. Yeah. And I remember it was Imelda Mahaka. It was
the judges.
The judges, yeah. The judges. I'm remembering Milt. No. I can't forget his name. The poet. What's his name? I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. This one. Yes, Albert Nyati. Yes. Albert Nyati, and I forgot the other guy. I forgot his name. And I remember sitting in there. I'm sorry, not sitting, standing. I walked in there, standing in there, you know, and just nervous as hell. Nervous. Like, what's your name? I said, my name's Jonah Sithole. And Albert Nyati was like, it's not Jonah Sithole, it's Jonah Sithole. I was like, yeah, Sithole. You must pronounce it the way it is supposed to be pronounced. Something like that. He pronounces something. He said it something I'm rephrasing now, but it was something like that. You must pronounce it the way it is supposed to be pronounced. Stole. I was like, oh, yeah, yes, of course. Stole. Yes. And then I sang Usher's song, How Do I Say? Mm-hmm. How do I say hello? I just want to talk to you. And they just went nuts. And they liked it. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. This is dope. Okay, they like it. And that's how I ended up going to the next round. I was happy. I was like, oh, thank God. I didn't know if I was going to make it through the first round. There were so many great singers before that, you know. Yeah. So many great singers. And I was like, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Because I told God, I remember praying after I got into that first round. I was like, God, if I make it to the first top 5, I'm cool. I think top 5. Whoever comes first, second, third, I don't care. Top 5, I'm fine.
And
I made it that far. Good enough.
Now you make it into the finale. How was the experience?
Man.
The grand finale.
Being in the grand finale was eye-opening because the training we got, vocal training, stage presence training, just learning how to handle an audience, learning how to be professional, and just being around such amazing talent like Sam K. Yeah, Sam K. I think I'm calling her Samantha. I'm forgetting. Sam K will kill me for this one. Anyway, yeah, Sam K, Taps, Pearl, and sorry, man, I'm a little nervous. Like, I forget names for some reason. Eric Moyer. Yes, okay. Eric Moyer. Yeah, we were all together in. Yeah, Eric got some pipes, man. They were all amazing singers, man. I was just in a room with all this amazing talent, and they were all different in their own way. Eric was this very soulful gospel singer. Taps was more indie rock gospel as well in his own way. Sam K was very vibey, Ndebele. She had that Afro groove with her vocals. She knew how to that Brenda Fassie feel that I remember. I just call it the Brenda Fassie feel. I don't know what the other name is. And then Pearl had this very motherly, soulful queen voice. You hear it and you stop, and you listen. She had that type of voice. She had that type of vocal. Great. So just being around them, I just learned so much. I watched, I listened, I observed, I learned. I took in as much as I could. And Gary Thompson was kind of, he was kind of like our father figure at the time, and he was just kind of really just showing us the ropes and just being there for us when we needed him. And they were very good to us in that house. We had a great time. And just and it was kind of weird being cut off from reality. We didn't know what was going on outside. We didn't read the newspapers. Okay. We didn't know anything. Yeah, we didn't know anything. The only time we went out was on Sunday going to celebration for church service. That was it.
Guys in camp?
I think it was like a whole month. It was about a month.
Wow.
And every week we had to learn a new song. And, just learning, we had a list. So you pick the song that you like, and you had to go with it. Every week there was a different list. So you picked the song that you felt you could handle. And we would get training from Prudence. I forgot the other lady's name. She would teach us stage presence. I forgot her name. Andrew Beard was also part of that. Yes, Andrew Beard was also part of that experience. And he was very strict. He was extremely strict. He wanted the best to come out of us, always. Because we did recordings at his home studio at that time. It was in Avenue, and he would grill us if we made a mistake. Like, no, it's D sharp minor, and he played the note for us. Like, that's the note. Sing it right, do it right, do it again. And it was just that kind of training that made you want to be better, want you to be more professional, not sing haphazardly, really think about your approach to a song, really soak it in, really make it yours, just understanding those small, basic, fundamental things. It's those little things that a lot of artists should always take note of, and he would also make us sit. Especially when we went recording, he would make us sit in his living room and he'd tell us, play all the records you see here, play all the songs, all the albums you see here, pick anything you like, learn from them, listen to them. I remember listening to the Crooners and listening to Brian McKnight, all kinds of music. He had all kinds of music. Brenda Fassie, he had everything. Some names I've even forgotten because he had so many albums. And we would just...
Looking at that process, like, I would say it's one of the very rare processes to ever happen like at home. He then went through to win the competition. And I'm going to touch a bit on the actual win itself. But
All right.
would you say that kind of mentorship, that kind of training, professional training, understanding of music, plays a very key role in terms of developing one's musical career? Or it
I
can
think
just
so.
be natural. People will be born with all these talents and they only need to just do what they have to do.
I think it's a bit of both. It just depends on how it's approached, how you approach it. Some people just learn from watching TV and watching other people perform, and they just kind of emulate that until they get better at it.
Yes.
They're just raw. They just go in and they just do it. Regardless of whether they're gonna suck or they're gonna do extremely well.
Yes.
They just sometimes it's a built-in thing. You just naturally have that presence, and it gets toned and it gets shaped. It evolves with time. The more you get on stage. I don't think you really need formal training for that, although formal training will help you advance in it and be able to handle it better than someone who's just winging it. Better than someone who's just kind of winging it. So I think if you can get the training, get it.
Yes.
Take it. Soak it in. Learn from those who know how to do it better than you, and be grateful for it. If you don't have that kind of training, just watch how the greats do it. Just watch them. I was doing the same thing before A Academy had happened. I was already doing that. I was watching.
Yeah.
I was watching people like Usher Raymond perform. I was watching Michael Jackson. Whoever got a chance to watch, from Led Zeppelin to Jimi Hendrix, I was watching everything. I was watching. I still do it now. And I watch and I pay attention to the little things. Always pay attention to the little things. Facial expressions, how they move their hands when they're holding the mic. A good example is Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin. For those who know Led Zeppelin, one of the greatest rock bands of all time.
Yeah.
He plays with his hands. He'll be doing this while he's holding the mic. He'll be doing this and singing. Just doing hand expressions. Mariah Carey does this. She does this like she's writing her notes. She does her vocal runs, which is in the whatever she does that. Some people, they just hold the mic and they do this.
Yeah.
Some people, some people dance while they're moving. Michael Jackson, Usher Raymond, and Chris Brown. Some people have, it's you just pay attention to, James Brown used to do a lot with his shoulders and his feet.
Yes.
And I think he'd snap his fingers a few times here and there to get that groove moving. So you pay attention to all that. You pay attention to those little things. Tuku will be with his guitar, just smiling.
Right.
Just
so
when he plays little things.
Yeah, this also defines the sort of the personality of an artist. It's very key that an artist needs to have something that sticks out, that is that sort of defines their performance style.
Yes, that's correct.
Great. And now you have won the competition. You're standing there on stage. You've been announced the winner. Before we get into the future, what was the feeling then? How did you feel? How did you respond or react the moment that you were announced the winner?
I was nervous. I was really nervous just before, prior. And at the same time, I was like, whatever happens, happens. And at the same time, we all thought Eric was going to win. We were all thinking, no, Eric is going to take this. Whoever comes second, third, fourth, we don't know. Could be any of us. But Eric is taking this one. That was all in our mind, all five of us. We were thinking Eric is going to win this one. So in our minds, we were just like, Eric. That's what was in our minds. So I didn't really think I was going to win. I was just like, whatever. I'll take what I can get. I'm just happy to be here. This was a great experience. And I've learned so much, and I had a great time. People enjoyed themselves. We all enjoyed ourselves. So whatever comes after this, great. But I think Eric is going to win. And then Gary Thompson is next to Sam K. He's like, Sam K, you're looking at the next A Academy. You're looking at the first A Academy Idol. Jonah. I was like, what? I was still looking down. I was like, no, this can't be right.
Wow.
Some people, I remember hearing some people were like, oh, he was a little arrogant. It's like, no, because I was in shock. I didn't think I was going to win. I was in shock. I didn't think I was going to win. I thought it was Eric because we were all rooting for him. Yeah, so when I won, I was like, whoa, this is amazing. This is new. What is happening? What's going to happen now? I don't know what's going to happen. I remember dancing. When my mom comes up on stage, I remember bumping into her by accident or something along those lines. And I remember shouting out to my friends at the time, who are still my friends now, just shouting out to them and just showing love to everybody, for supporting us, supporting me, voting for me, because I couldn't believe it, man. I was flabbergasted. I was so happy. And at the same time, I was shocked and I was in awe. I was like, what's going on now? What happens now? You're nervous. It's like everything changes right after that.
Wow, great. Let's talk about that change. We're going to take a 1 minute break, and then when we're back from the program, from the break, we're going to talk about the future and how your life transformed and what you're currently working on. My name is Plot Mark, and I'm speaking there to Jonah Sithole, and we're talking about so many things from his A Academy debut win until he moved to like a full-time career of music.
Been thinking about you all day. Let's play a game of role play. You and I superheroes here to give the world some fun. Everything we're doing is all for the greater good. Sounds so simple, but let's get things right. What we do, you may not really approve, but it's all that way. What we do, they just get you in the mood. And I know you wanna spend the whole night. Spend the whole night.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying in touch with us. We are on E-Ground, New Voices Amplified, the Diaspora Connection, and I'm speaking to Jonah Sithole. I'm not gonna describe what he does, but I'll give him the chance to say exactly what he does later on. But he's a versatile musician who has built a career around his music. But his entry into stardom started in 2006 when he won the debut A Academy, the CBZ A Academy competition. And we just ended, before the break, he was telling us about the experience after he won. Now we're getting into the future. He has won, he's now crowned king. And what happens afterwards? What went on after you just won the Academy?
How can I describe it? Yeah, my life changed completely, man. It was not the same anymore. It was definitely not the same. Well, the first thing I can remember off the bat is my phone ringing nonstop.
Wow. And who was calling you?
Mostly the press. The press was calling me nonstop. from everywhere. And I'm 17, man. I don't know how to talk to the press. I don't know how to answer questions. I don't know what I should say.
Yes.
I don't know how I should say it. You don't really get any training for this in that sense. You don't really get any heads up.
Yes. And no one was
on this matter.
You didn't have any management yet.
I did. I did. Gary was definitely managing me at the time. He was kind of foreseeing everything. But he couldn't be there all the time,
Yes.
He would, and this was like the very early stages. So somehow they got a hand of my phone number, and my phone never stopped ringing. The first week, I had to change my phone number, man, because it wouldn't stop ringing. I was like, hey, I can't even take a nap.
But were fans also calling you, like people randomly calling you, yo, what's up? I picked your number.
Yeah. Later on, yeah, man. Like I would get random phone calls. Like at 3:00 in the morning, someone would just call me like, I want to be your friend. Yo, this is 3:00 in the morning. Dude, when I say fame changes your life, it does to some degree. Wow. I got a taste of that. I got a good taste of that. Like it was weird. It was weird.
CBZ gave you, you got money from the competition. You got some good.
Yeah.
And so you had the film, but you also had a bit of the cheese to show off about it.
Yeah, I got some cheese. That's correct. Yeah, I got a laptop. I remember getting an the iPod. I forgot what the other thing was. I think I had a free ticket to go wherever I wanted, which I didn't end up using.
Oh, okay.
I didn't end up using it.
The cash prize.
Yeah, man. And the money I had, I put it all into my education.
Oh,
I put it in my education. Yeah, I put it in my education. That was the first thing I did. I was like, nah, I'm not going to spend this money. I'm putting my education straight.
You never thought of, going to buy yourself some nice pair of sneakers, some fancy
phone? Nah. Not at all. I didn't care about that. I wanted to get an education. For me, that was number one. Education was first, because I just felt like there was so much I needed to learn. Being in that situation and seeing how people worked in the studio at that professional level. Now, mind you, prior to this, I had already kind of pre-started my career, and this was with David Sengwayo and Sush.
Oh, okay, David Sengwayo.
Yeah. And the guys that put me on his name at the time was the guys from Excel. This was John Jay, who now calls himself John Dellinger.
Yes.
Yeah. They were the ones who found me. And this was at a church called River of Life. This was back in 2000.
River of Life. Oh, okay, cool. In Eastleigh.
Yeah. Yeah, in Eastleigh. Yes, in Eastleigh. River of Life in Eastleigh. And Pastor G was there. And Pastor G put me on. He was talking to John Jay. I was like, Pastor G. Shout out to Pastor G, man. Pastor G was the GOAT, man. He was the one who was like, I'm telling him, John, put him up, Nana DS and Sush. Get him there.
DS remove it.
They'll know what to do. Yeah, DS remove it. That's right. Remove it. That's right, man. Wow. And yeah, man. Yeah. So I was working with them, they were also kind of slowly grooming me. So I had some prior knowledge to how the studio worked in that sense. But there was still a lot I needed to learn, because it wasn't every day I went there. It was just from time to time.
Yeah.
And even during that time, prior to that as well, I had met BK and Kaz. I met BK and Kaz, and this was in Mashingo in boarding school. Yeah. Yes, I met them in Mashingo, and I was recording with them. We actually did one single, which was called You Cheated on Me. And Kaz kind of also showed me the ropes in recording as well. He also kind of gave me some training in stage presence and not being afraid, communicating with the audience. Him and BK, Kaz, who's now Kaz Khalif, they also played a pivotal role in helping shape who I am before A Academy, along with my sister May as well. May Sithole. She kind of put me on with Kaz Khalif. She was like, yo, I got a little brother, he sings. You got to hear him. And Kaz Khalif ended up hearing me at a talent show at Cal College at the time. And he just kind of, he's like, yo, you got to work, and this was all pre-A Academy. And then A Academy happened, and Kaz had moved to the UK. John, I think now had moved to South Africa. Excel, I think it kind of split up. Move It, I don't think they were working together as much anymore.
Yeah.
DS was now going deep in as a producer. The late Sush Matix, his partner in crime, rest in peace, Sush. He was rapping. He was still rapping with DS, and they were still making a lot of music. Pardon?
Is that Baby Biggie?
Yeah, Baby Biggie. Yeah.
Okay.
And Biggie, yeah, rest in peace, Biggie.
Yeah.
Oh man, you're making me feel nostalgic now.
Yeah.
You'll make me cry, bro.
You know what?
These guys are brothers to me, man.
True. I mean, it's quite interesting because I see a lot of the young kids, especially when it comes to hip hop. They don't know a lot of this history. They don't even make an attempt to dig it because I feel there's so much more. People had already been pushing the grind. They were already pushing hip hop. More people was pushing the grind and boundaries, and they had got mainstream. And fast food was also pushing. So there was a lot of movement that was happening. There was so much happening.
TBA Take 5. TBA Take 5.
Yes, TBA Take 5.
My sister was May also started with TBA Take 5. She was with them at the time. And I also got to see Anaroki in the early stages.
Yes.
I got to see, and I'm a freak, I got to hear all their songs before they were released. I was in the studio just sitting there listening, absorbing, watching, because May was also trying to do a thing at the time, and she was doing stuff with TBA Take 5 at the time, And that's where I learned about Rocky. Rocky hadn't really broken out at the time. He was still doing his thing. I guess he was still trying to find his voice. Yeah. And he was just kind of recording and getting things, and just trying to build his career as well at the time. And a lot of people don't know what these guys had to go through just to get a song done. From Magetsachi and
it was not like now. Now it's like instant noodle. It's like you want to record a song, you just even record yourself,
Yeah, you could record it from home, right? You could just record it from home. Now you can really have a home studio. Before it wasn't like that, Not everyone had access to that. Like you literally had to build a studio. TBA Take 5, I think, were amongst the first people I saw who had a home studio, which was pretty built in for professional recordings. Yes. DS and Sush Move It family also had something similar. Their studio was in a garage of someone's house. It wasn't even their own studio place. No, they were renting a garage at someone's house. And this was in Greece.
But what was driving your generation or that generation then? Because there was not so much internet then. There was no social media. We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have Twitter back then. But still, these guys were driven. What was the push? What do you think was the push then?
Aside from just Western influences and, watching other people who were great before us, and who are also currently at the time doing well, like Ana Tuku and so on, and Mana Thomas Mapfumo, and so on. We were watching these guys, and we're like, what? We also want to bring in our influences. We also want people to see a different side of Zimbabwean music, of Zimbabwean art, Zimbabwean artists. Because some of us do hip hop, some of us do reggae, some of us are into pop music, some of us are into R&B. Some of us can do it all. And we all just wanted our voices to be heard because we were seeing the movement that was going on in America, and we're seeing what was going on in South Africa at the time.
Yes.
And we were like, but we can do this also. We got so much talent. We can also do this. Let's do it. And I was just driven, and I just wanted to be in the spotlight. I wanted to make music. And once I was introduced to BK and Kaz, DS and Sush, John Jazzy, John Dillinger now. Yeah, John, these guys really played a big part pre-A Academy to help me find myself, find my voice, know where I want to be in music. We were recording demos. We were writing. I was learning how to write. They were helping me write. They were teaching me, they were showing me how to record, just all these things, learning to sing harmonies. They would sing the harmonies for me if I didn't know how to sing them. Kaz as well played a big part in that, it was just, we all wanted our voices to be heard because I felt like prior to that movement, that era, there was I feel like there was a vacuum. There was nothing really happening. It was very
Yeah.
quiet from the youth. You know,
Yes.
I mean, there was Anachi Oneso who had kind of started the movement. Anachi Oneso and metaphysics.
Metaphysics,
You know, they had their thing going in the 90s, right? They had their thing going in the 90s. Like, to all you Zim cats who are now aspiring, and those who've made it who don't know, go back, go look up Anachi Oneso when they were young, and Ana Move, and metaphysics and these guys. Go and see what they were doing. And Prudence, you know, go and watch them. Go and watch them when they were young. Because I remember on ZBC, they used to play a lot of, they used to show a lot of movies from that time, you know, and then, there was that movement. It was there. And then I don't know, like, if I have to think back, don't quote me, I think there was a vacuum. There was something missing.
And then
there was something missing.
When you guys emerged, you have mentioned that you guys were driven by the desire to fill the void, the desire to create, the desire to be heard. Did you feel heard after winning CBZ A Academy? Did you feel heard? Do you feel you were successful in launching your professional career, or you feel you missed an opportunity?
I think there were some successes and there were some losses in anything. In life, there's always successes and losses. Yeah. I think I definitely did what I was meant to do at the time.
Yeah.
Yes, I was meant to win. It was God's plan for me to win that competition. It was God's plan for me to put out that album. And I did exactly that. I made sure it was done. And they also made sure that it was done as well. The people behind the scenes, Gary Thompson, CBZ, Andrew Bid, and everybody who worked with me on that album. Ilsi, Kudzai Sevenzo, Mono Mukundu, Titch Makalisa, Taps. Taps also played a pivotal role in that album as well. The first album, Diversity. You know, there were a lot of things that came into play for that album to happen. And, you know, we were experimenting. We were just having fun and enjoying the process, you know. And there was a lot of controversy regarding that album at the time. From one article I read, they weren't sure if it was genuine, and they were saying it was too international. They wouldn't be saying that now, which didn't make sense to me. I was like, what is too international? I mean, don't you want us to be international?
Yeah, it was quite an interesting narrative that, there was a time when artists were labeled, especially young urban artists were labeled like too foreign, too international.
Yeah, too foreign, yes.
Yes, and now there seems to be a sort of a twist where everybody is now sort of embracing the international feel, you know, whilst
with the local
encouragement to say, look, we still need to retain our identity, but a sound that could relate to other people that were not listening to Shona, that were not able to listen to our traditional sounds. It was always deemed, this is too foreign. Did you struggle with that?
Yeah, I did. I mean, they kind of grilled me a little bit on that. They were like, oh, all these songs are too international, da 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 da. And I remember putting out Kwandinova, and Kwandinova dropped.
Yeah.
And then they were quiet after that. They were quiet after that when Kwandinova came out. Because then they saw, no. I was trying to show them that, look, I can do all of this.
I can do it.
But I'll never forget where I come from.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Zimbabwean.
Yeah. And you have done,
proud.
From my records, you have 3 albums and 1 EP, right?
Yeah.
Great. And looking at that body of work, what has it done to your career now? Like, you moved from Zimbabwe, you're no longer based in Zimbabwe, but you continue to make music. Just tell us just about the albums, the projects that you've released, and you've released a number of videos. What else are you working on? What have you been up to? A lot of people would want to know what you've been up to all this time.
All right, cool. Well, before I jump into that, I just want to make one quick point.
Okay.
For where Zimbabwean music is now, if it wasn't for Zimbabweans like myself and others who came in with the international influences and urban grooves, we wouldn't have what we have now in Zimbabwean music, I think, to some degree. You know, they played a big part because remember, there was that whole 100% local thing, and they didn't want to hear anything that sounded international, whether you're Zimbabwean or not. They wanted something that was very local. So Urban Grooves was breaking that barrier. Urban Grooves, shout out to Urban Grooves and everyone who did Urban Grooves at the time. They broke that barrier. You know, they created a market for Zimbabwean artists. And then those who were a bit more international, who wanted more of the international feel and weren't necessarily singing in Shona, like myself, we kind of helped fill that void where, hey, you know, you don't always have to sing in Shona to be considered Zimbabwean. You can still be local and international if you do both. So don't worry about it. Don't be afraid. We kind of paved way for that. There were a lot of us who paved way for that. And people like Anachiwo Neso, they did that. Nana Metaphysics, they did that in the 90s as well.
How do you respond to someone who says that urban groups, yes, it was a disruption, but the mandatory 75% and 100% content somehow created monotony? We got a lot of substandard content simply because there was that platform where artists could just submit their music, and we didn't have enough content, so ultimately anyone else, including mediocre artists, managed to just get their content out there.
I would say that I think it was important. It was a necessary thing to do at the time, because you remember that time on Zim Radio, it was mostly in international music. You would not hear local content until that was, yeah. So now when that rule came in, when that law passed, and when it came in, of course you were going to hear some crappy stuff. I mean, what did you expect? You know, but from all the bad, there's definitely going to be some good. There's going to be some good, and there was a lot of great stuff. Rocky came out of that. Mafrik came out of that. Can I think of at the top of my head? Africa Revenge came out of that. I mean, they had kind of started a while back, but they really broke out in that era. You know, there were a lot of great talents that came out of that. You know, so we can't really look at it and say it was monotonous. I mean, it was, you know, yeah, there was a point where you're like, okay, yeah, quality. You know, there was some bad quality in some of the music. You know, but out of that, people learned to make better quality music in the process. You know, people were learning. We were just learning. A lot of these guys were learning from scratch, you know, and they were just kind of taking what they learned and just using their ears, man. And now it's reached to this level. Everything starts from somewhere. If you listen to music from America, from the 50s and the 1930s to where they are now, you can even hear that there was some crappy music too. Yeah, there was some really badly recorded stuff. There's always a start. Everything starts from somewhere and to lead to a destination. There's always a destination. So everything starts bad and then it ends up becoming good. And out of that, great artists come out of it. And, you know, and the rest is history from there.
Right. And back to your career. You know,
yes.
Your body of work. What have you been up to? What have you worked on? What are you currently working on? And yes, just a bit on what you've been working on.
Yeah. Right now, I'm under new management. So based in LA, Los Angeles. So right now what we're focusing on is rebranding, building, because Jonah doesn't exist anymore in terms of the artist. It's now Bloodlyne. Why did I choose Bloodlyne? Well, I felt I needed to grow because people still looked at me as that 17-year-old kid from 2006. And I felt like there was something missing with me using my name as an artist at the time. I felt like I'd grown so much. I needed something that held depth, that held meaning. So I started to look into my family history. I started asking my parents questions. I was like, Mom, Dad, tell me more about your history. Tell me more about where you guys came from, how it all started. Tell me more about Gogo, Sekuru, you know, tell me more. Tell me more about them. You know, I know you've told us about them before, but I want to dive in deeper. What is it that makes us stories? How did we get here? How did we get here? These are the things I wanted to learn. And my team was telling me, go and dig deeper. Find out who you are. Find out who you are. And from there, we can move forward with you. We can move forward with you and we can start shaping who Bloodlyne is.
Yes.
So I started focusing on my history, started learning about who I was, going deeper into it, understanding where my culture comes from, Shona culture and my Zulu culture. Because my dad, we are from my dad's side, we're from Chipinge,
Yes.
Ndau, and from my mom's side, we're from Mashingo. So I already knew from my mom's side, it was with the Karanga, we are born and bred in Mashingo.
Yes.
There, my mom's side. And then my dad's side was a little more interesting. It was a little deeper. It dug a little deeper. So my mom called up my uncle to tell me what was going on. So my uncle kind of dug in deeper as well because I couldn't get hold of my dad that time. And he told me, what he told me was, and just adding on from what my dad had told me, that my grandfather from my father's side was actually from South Africa, KwaZulu Natal.
Oh, okay.
He was a tailor.
Okay.
He was a tailor. So he was a tailor at that time. I'm not sure what year that was. Probably the 1920s or around that year, probably 1930s, 1940s. He was a tailor, and he decided he wanted to move to Zimbabwe, which was at that time Salisbury, because I think, as I'm assuming, that's where it was happening. You know, in South Africa there was apartheid and all this stuff going on. So I think he just didn't want the drama, and it seemed like Salisbury was the place to go if you actually wanted to get something out of your life. Okay. So he moved to Chipinge first. And then later on, when he had established himself, he ended up bringing his other family members from KwaZulu-Natal to Chipinge as well. He managed to get a loan and started a business there in Chipinge.
Oh, great.
He started a business. Yeah, he had a church and he opened, I think, a retail store. I forgot. I need to ask my mom again. Yeah. But yeah, he started a business and he got a loan from a family there, an Indian family that was already residing there in Chipinge. Yeah. You know, and that's how he got a loan from them. And then he started his business and he didn't ask for anything back. And at that time, now note, during this time, things were different. You know, once my uncle said, you know, they were wearing the skins at that time. So when they came, you know, my grandfather was now introduced to Christianity and all. And my relatives at the time were still into the old ways, ancestral worship. You know, they were still wearing the skins. They didn't wear T-shirts. It was just the skins and the sandals, if they had any. Yeah. Or they were barefoot. So you can imagine.
So your new rebranding process now connects to that heritage. It connects to that tradition and legacy.
Yes, correct. Because Bloodlyne is all about family. Music didn't start with me as I know now. And it won't end with it. It won't end with me.
Any relation to Jonah Sithole?
Apparently, no. I'm still digging into that because it's too much of a coincidence.
It's too much of a coincidence.
It's too much of it's too much of a coincidence.
Especially
I'm sure maybe
you are talented and you share the same name and the same cloth.
Exactly. You know, so I don't know. My parents say, nah, there's no relation. We just have the same sin. I think it's too much of a coincidence. I need to dig deeper and find out who were his relatives, because it's a bit, you know, and I'm assuming he was probably from Chipinge as well. And if he was from Chipinge, then there's a high chance we're probably related somehow. There's probably a high chance, because my whole family is very musical. All my cousins are musical. They play guitar, they play keyboard, they all sing. You know, but it's somehow we all seem to always go towards the academics. Academics for some reason. Yeah, we all seem to all go towards academics, except myself though, and my sister May. But May is an academic. She's a hard academic, but she still loves music. So she still sings. She has her own album. She has 2 albums, you know, and she still makes, you know, she does shows. But right now she just gave birth to a baby girl. Oh, okay. A beautiful baby girl. So yeah, congrats, May. Love you. And so she's focused on parenthood right now. So Yeah, man. Like
So
music has
now,
always been a part of my family.
yeah, currently, what are you working on? What are we expecting from you? I know you've got the new brand, but any new projects that you're working on that we should look out for, and where do we access them?
We're hoping to release some singles soon. I can't give you a date yet, because you know how it is with the music business. You gotta secure a few things first before you just drop anything.
Yeah, true.
Before you just drop anything. Yeah, that's something I should let artists know in case some knowledge I guess I can drop on artists.
Yeah.
Yeah, always financially plan your releases before you drop them, unless you have a very good guerrilla marketing plan
Yeah.
for your song. I would recommend you financially plan your release before you just drop any music. I learned that the hard way, because there's just so much music coming out. Even now, like thousands of songs come out a day. As we speak right now, thousands of
True.
songs coming out
Somebody's
on
releasing a
Spotify.
song right now. Yeah.
Yeah, someone's releasing a song right now on many different streams, online platforms. And you could have the best song of the year, but no one will hear it because there was no financial backing. You need to understand you're competing with labels. They have millions of dollars backing an artist. Who do you think they're going to hear first? They're going to hear the label backed artist first. Their face is going to be splattered right in front. He could be a new artist, but you're going to know about him first. Why? Because there was money behind that project. So artists, please really think about investing in your music. If you're serious, do a lot of financial investing in your music. Whether it be $10 to $100, I wouldn't recommend $10 though, but I would recommend $100 up, hundred
This is quite
dollars or more.
interesting. And like you're looking at Zimbabwean music from outside, but you were also part of the scene. Right now, where do you see Zimbabwean music going? Do you see us progressing?
I definitely see us progressing. We've progressed a lot, a lot, a
Yes.
lot. There's so much talent now. I can't even keep track of who's who now. I think right now the most popular two people I can think of just from the top of my head, Enzo and Gemma Griffith.
Gemma Griffiths. Are those on your playlist currently? Who else?
Tammy Moyo, Amara Brown. There's so many. I'm forgetting. It happens like this. Sometimes I just forget. But there are many Zimbabwean artists on my list. Kaz Khalif.
Yes.
I listen to him a lot. There's so much talent out there, man. Like it's crazy, man. Simba Tags is also doing his thing. Brian K. There's so many guys. There's so many of them. You can't keep track now. Zimbabwean music is now at a place where people look at it at a professional level.
Yes.
It's not looked at like, oh, these guys are just doing a hobby. No, this is professional. We're looked at as professionals now by our own people, which is very, very extremely important. There's my daughter. Look at her go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I see your daughter there.
Yeah. So Zimbabwean music, yeah, it's at a point where people look at us and are taking us very seriously. Before, I remember Zim music was really shunned upon. I mean, we appreciated it, but we didn't appreciate it to a level where we looked at it and we say, you know what, we should endorse this and we should support this artist 100%. It wasn't like that for a lot of us. We had to find our own way.
We had to find your own way. And
you had to really find your own way.
5 years from now, where do we see Bloodlyne?
5 years from now, where do we see Bloodlyne?
Yes.
Hopefully where I'm meant to be. And God willing, I will be touring, making more music for the audience,
yes.
Having more fans, just being in the music, because I love making music. I love singing. I love writing. I love producing. I love the whole process of creating.
Music, yeah.
Say hi, guys.
How old is it?
Say hi, guys. She's good. She's 4 years old now. Her name is Akita.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, that's my stepson, Fayad.
My son is 4, and
your son's 4. Nice, man.
He was actually
Nice.
texting me a couple of times, and I tried to keep him.
Man, that's parenthood, man. This never gonna happen. Forget it, dude.
You always
Forget it.
see a woman I'm speaking to every time I'm having an interview. You ask to know who's there.
He's following daddy's footsteps. He's learning. He's watching.
Yeah.
My daughter, she watches me. She's like, "Daddy, are you recording?" Okay,
Wow.
I'm gonna be quiet. And
Oh,
she goes
nice.
back.
And does
Yeah, man.
she
She
likes to
watches.
sing too?
Yeah, she loves to sing, man. She loves to sing, but she doesn't like me recording her singing. She gets angry, and if she catches me, like "Daddy," and then she'll throw something at me. Yeah, man. So 5 years from now, I just hope I hope to see more Zimbabweans in the spotlight.
Yes.
Not just locally in Africa, but internationally.
And
I
whom
want
do
to see
you
all
see
of
right
us
now? Do you see any front runners that you could say we have to keep an eye on these guys when it comes to maybe making it like internationally on the pop scene?
Hey, that's a hard one. There's so many of them now, man, and they're all doing different things.
Yes.
I'd say we should keep an eye out on all of them, from Takura to Tammy to Amara to Enzo to Natty O.
Yes.
Ja Praiser's doing it. He's really set a standard for Zimbabwe music as well.
Yeah.
He's really opened that door. And Gemma. There's just so many of us, man. And they're all doing their thing in their own way. They're representing Zimbabwe with the music in their own style, in their own fashion. And people are resonating towards that. People are starting to see us. People are starting to hear us. Because I remember back in the day, well, not too far back. I'll say about 10 years back.
Yes.
It was, you only hear music from Nigeria and South Africa.
Mm-hmm. True.
Now you're starting to hear music from Zimbabwe. You're also getting music from Tanzania.
Yes.
Shout out everyone, Tanzania, Kenya. You're starting to hear music from Kenya. I'm hoping to hear more music from other parts of Africa as well. There's so much talent in Africa, man. It's crazy, dude.
Right.
I think we're gonna reach a point where people won't just assume that all the dope music is in South Africa and Nigeria alone. They'll just be like, "Oh, have you heard music from Zimbabwe? Have you heard music from Namibia? Have you heard music from Ethiopia? Have you heard music from Egypt? Have you heard music from Libya, Morocco, Zambia, Mozambique?" Oh man, I'm vibing with Botswana music right now. Botswana's got it in. Screw that. I'm Zimbabwe music all the way. No, I love SA. I love whatever. Africa's gonna be at that point where people won't focus on a small part of our geographic, because Africa's a huge, giant continent. There's just so much. There's just so much, man. There is just so much, and I think, people, the whole world should pay attention to Africa right now, because we're coming in hot.
That's
coming in hot. We were slept on for a while. We're slept on for a while.
Now
we're slept on for a while. Now
awakening that's happening.
Yeah, and people are awakening. People are watching now. People are paying attention. Like, no, this African thing is dope. Is dope. And now people are gonna want to embrace different styles from all parts of Africa.
True.
Maybe Afrobeat is what's happening right now, and soon, and Amapiano is now taking its scene now in South Africa. Who knows? Could be urban grooves might make a comeback in Zimbabwe, and people might, and it might just break out. Who knows? You never know. With music, it's always about what everyone is gravitating towards at that time. So we should just be optimistic and just keep supporting our local talent, because we got so much talent, too much. We got so much talent, man. I like I said, I don't even know all the artists who are breaking out right now in Zim. I know they're there, and I'm just like, wow, how do I not know this guy? I didn't even know about him until my good friend Walter Wanyanya posted him up on his. Yeah, until he posted him up on his Facebook. I didn't know Enzo existed. I'm like, yo, this guy is dope. Tina Sugar. I was like, catchy lyric, dope title. Another thing artists should focus on before they put out a song. Focus on your song titles. Your song titles are very important, because your song title can make or break your song. It's not that your song won't succeed, but the chances of people wanting to hear it is just from your song title alone and your album cover.
True.
Just by looking at the title and the album cover, Tina Sugar, I'll be like, Tina Sugar, that sounds very interesting. What does he want to say about Tina Sugar? I'm gonna put that up. It's better than saying Lost. Like,
Yeah, I
You
know.
know, I've heard that it's too generic, you know. But if you get creative with your names, now artists are getting very creative with their song titles. You don't always have to do that, but it's something you need to think about. If you have a song that gives room to that, that opens room to that,
True,
you should
true.
very much pay attention to that.
Wow.
So yeah, man, like, yeah, I'm just gonna keep putting out music. I've got 5 years worth of content, and I'll show you right now what I'm talking
Great.
about. I write songs every day, man. Every morning I wake up and I write songs. I finished 2 books.
Wow.
Just songs. Just songs, my guy. Just songs. And I encourage other artists to do that as well. Work on your songwriting. If you can't, it will help you in the long run. When you can't think of a song, your friend just gave you a nice beat, or you made a nice beat. You pull out your songbook, you go through it, you see, I wrote these lyrics 2 months ago.
Yes.
They seem to fit with what's going on here. Okay,
That is
let me try it out. Oh, it works. Great. I'm on my 3rd book now.
Wow. Wow, this is
So,
great. This is great. And I really appreciate, I would want to have another conversation with you, especially to do with the business of music and relation to internet and the new disruptions that are happening right now. We are on lockdown, and I know that it's really transforming the way we're consuming, the way we're also distributing music. But yeah, great. And thank you so much. I really appreciate the time that you took to be on Earground. It's an honor to have you.
thank you.
After trying to bring the reconnection so many years ago. And I wanted to ask, there's a fan of yours or somebody who's watching you right now that would want to hear even a 30-second snippet, just from any of your songs, just 30 seconds. I know you're not prepared for this one.
I was not prepared for that. Let me see what I got here. I'm looking at my computer, so you're in luck. You're in luck. Okay. Let me see what I got here. Hopefully the audio will be clear enough for the listeners.
Okay.
I'll play something. All right. All right, let me see. Okay, it's playing. There's a bit of a reggae sound in there.
Okay.
Girl, you got me spinning round and round. Got me wrapped around your finger like, ooh. Girl, you got me spinning round and round. Got me wrapped around your finger. Think I got a fever. No time for the doctor. Gotta get to the chopper. Knocking out like a boxer. She might be the reason. Let her out in Coachella. Party hard like a rocker. Made her, now a stalker. Girl, you got me spinning.
Yeah, that's something.
That's fine. Cool. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and your word to your fans. And then we close up.
A word to my fans. I'm here. I'm still alive. To some of you, I'm still Jonah, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
But my name now is Bloodlyne. And keep watching out. Keep looking out for me. Follow me on at I Am Bloodlyne on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or just follow me on Facebook. But definitely follow my Instagram. Show some love, y'all. And a word out to my fans. I love you guys. Thank you so much for always checking up on me, seeing where I am, seeing where I'm going. My journey hasn't stopped. I'm just growing nonstop. A lot of great music is coming. What I just played you there is nothing compared to the other stuff that I have in store. I've got years and years of music ready that I've been working on with my team. We've been creating nonstop. We have created tons and tons of content, and we will still keep creating. I actually finished 3 songs this past week.
Oh, great.
I have a rule. Yeah, I create songs every week, so that's my rule. And I'm doing a lot of collaborations in the near future. Hopefully, will come out soon. Kaz Khalif, Gemma. Yeah, I just dropped one for y'all there. Dropped one for y'all.
Wow,
just dropped the young one for y'all there.
Guys who've been watching. Great comments that have been dropping there, and I'll definitely pass some of them to Bloodlyne. Jonah Sithole, we've been speaking to him about his music and also about the experiences from the time that he got into music, and also his perspective on different aspects that relate to music and Zimbabwean arts. Until next time, stay tuned on Ear Ground. New Voices Amplified. We out.
Be thinking about you all day. Let's play a game of role play. You and I superheroes here to give the world some fun. Everything we're doing is all for the greater good. Sounds so simple, but let's get things right. What we do, you may not really approve, but it's more that we what we do, it just gets you in the mood. And I know you wanna spend the whole night